Greg Gutfeld just did what he does best, completely shutting down a liberal host on live TV in the most hilarious way possible. It wasn't just a debate, it was a full-blown meltdown. 1 second, she was confidently throwing out her usual talking points, and the next? She was fumbling, raising her voice, and barely holding it together as Gutfeld calmly picked apart every single argument she had. It was one of those moments where you could feel the tension through the screen. You know, that awkward silence when someone realizes they've lost but refuses to admit it? Yeah, it was that bad. Now, we've seen Gutfeld take on clueless guests before, but this one? This was different. The setup was perfect. She thought she had the upper hand, came in ready to educate everyone, and then, boom, Gutfeld hit her with facts, logic, and, of course, his signature sarcasm. You could see the frustration building as he stayed calm, cracking jokes while completely exposing the nonsense. By the end, she was practically yelling while he just sat back and smirked. You gotta love it. But hey, don't just take my word for it. We're about to break down exactly how it happened, moment by moment. So, if you enjoy watching overconfident liberals get a reality check, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. This is one you don't want to miss. The showdown happened on the 5, a show known for its heated debates and sharp exchanges. This time, the topic was one of the usual battlegrounds, crime. The liberal host came in ready to push the same tired argument. Rising crime rates aren't as bad as conservatives make them seem, and if anything, the real problem is a lack of government intervention. You know the drill. Asterisk asterisk, Republicans are just fear-mongering. Asterisk asterisk, we need more programs, not more policing, and, of course, the classic, it's actually the right-wing media making people think crime is worse than it is. It was straight out of the usual playbook, the kind of argument that sounds nice in theory but falls apart the second someone looks at actual facts. As soon as she finished, the camera cut to Gutfeld, and you could already tell he was holding back laughter. He leaned back in his chair, raised an eyebrow, and let out one of those sarcastic chuckles he's known for. Oh boy, here we go again, he muttered, shaking his head. The rest of the panel knew what was coming, and honestly, so did the audience. This was Gutfeld's moment, and he wasn't about to let it slide. Instead of jumping in right away, he let the silence hang in the air for a moment. That smirk stayed on his face, and you could almost see the gears turning in his head. Was he going to hit back with cold, hard stats? Was he about to drop one of those one-liners that would instantly make the clip go viral? Whatever it was clear that he wasn't even taking the argument seriously. And that's what made it even better. While she looked dead serious, convinced that she had just won the debate, Gutfeld was sitting there like someone watching a bad movie for the 100th time, already knowing exactly how it was going to end. As soon as the liberal host finished her rant, Gutfeld wasted no time in tearing it apart piece by piece. He leaned forward, eyes locked on her, and with that signature smirk, he started breaking it all down. All right, let's take this apart one by one because, honestly, I don't know whether to be annoyed or just impressed by how wrong you managed to be in under a minute. First, he tackled the claim that crime isn't as bad as conservatives say it is. Let's do something radical here, he said, pulling out a stack of papers. Let's look at actual numbers instead of feelings. He listed off recent crime statistics from major cities, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, showing clear spikes in violent crime. Now, I get it. These numbers must be shocking if you spend most of your time watching The View instead of checking actual reports. The liberal host tried to cut in, shaking her head. That's just cherry-picking. Crime rates fluctuate every year. Gutfeld let out a short laugh. Fluctuate. That's cute. Yeah, just like your gas bill fluctuates when it suddenly triples in price. The audience chuckled, and even a few of the other panelists smirked. He wasn't done yet. Next, he went after her claim that Republicans were just fear-mongering about crime. Right, because pointing out facts is now fear-mongering. You know who doesn't think it's fear-mongering? The guy who just got his car jacked at gunpoint, or the mom who can't let her kids play outside anymore. He gestured towards the camera. If you're watching this at home, tell me, when was the last time you heard someone say, "Wow, crime is really going down, I feel safer than ever"? Silence. Even the liberal host hesitated for a moment, as if she knew she walked into a trap. Gutfeld took full advantage. Exactly. Nobody says that. Except maybe someone living in a gated mansion who thinks real problems are limited to mean tweets. Then came the one-liners, And this was where Gutfeld really shined. This argument is flimsier than a CNN fact-check. The crowd laughed. Honestly, listening to this reminds me of a college freshman who just discovered Karl Marx and thinks they have everything figured out. If only the government had more control, we'd all be happy. He put on an exaggerated, innocent voice, pretending to be an idealistic student, then snapped back to his usual tone. Yeah, because that worked out so well every time it was tried. The liberal host, clearly frustrated, rolled her eyes. Oh please, you're just making jokes instead of debating. Gutfeld grinned. No, I'm making jokes and debating. The problem is, your argument is so weak that even a joke is more convincing than whatever that was. The other panelists chuckled, and the liberal host was visibly struggling to come up with a response. But Gutfeld wasn't about to let her off the hook. He leaned back, shaking his head. You know, I'd love to live in your fantasy world, where bad policies don't have consequences, criminals just need understanding, and everything magically gets better if we just throw more money at it. Unfortunately, I prefer reality. The audience reaction said it all. Some gasped, others laughed, and the tension in the studio was thick. The liberal host tried to pivot to a different argument, but it was clear, Gutfeld had already won. As soon as Gutfeld finished his takedown, you could see it. The liberal host's face turned red, her hands clenched the table, and her voice started to shake. It was coming. The meltdown. How dare you? She suddenly snapped, pointing a finger at Gutfeld like he had just committed some unspeakable crime. This is dangerous rhetoric. You're spreading misinformation, and it's reckless. The studio went quiet for a split second before Gutfeld tilted his head, smirking. Ah, there it is. The classic, I don't like what you're saying, so I'll call it dangerous move. He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. It's always easier than proving me wrong, isn't it? But she wasn't done. In a desperate attempt to regain control, she threw out the ultimate distraction card. Trump, this is exactly the kind of rhetoric that led to January 6th. This is MAGA fear-mongering, plain and simple. Gutfeld let out an exaggerated sigh, shaking his head. Oh wow. We made it, everyone. The conversation officially lasted 5 minutes before Trump got dragged into it. What does this have to do with the actual topic? Nothing. But hey, when all else fails, just scream Trump, and hope nobody notices you're losing the argument. The host tried to talk over him, her voice getting louder. People like you are fueling hate. You twist facts, and it's disgusting. She was waving her hands now, clearly flustered. Gutfeld just shrugged. I get it. Facts can be scary. He paused, then added, it's much easier to just yell instead of actually debating. The crowd erupted in laughter, and even some of the other panelists covered their mouths, trying to hide their amusement. The liberal host looked around, realizing she wasn't getting the support she expected. She fumbled for words, then shook her head. This is ridiculous. I can't even have a real conversation when you're just mocking everything I say. Gutfeld leaned in slightly, his voice calm. I'm not mocking. I'm just holding up a mirror. If you don't like what you see, maybe it's not the mirror's fault. Boom. The room went silent for a moment. Then, applause. The liberal host clenched her jaw, clearly realizing she had lost control of the moment. She took a deep breath, sat back in her chair, and crossed her arms. Meanwhile, Gutfeld? Still cool, still collected, still grinning. It was over. As the tension settled, Gutfeld leaned forward with a smirk, ready to deliver the final blow. I'd love to keep this going, but at this rate, we'll need a therapy session by the end. The audience roared with laughter, while the liberal host let out an exasperated sigh, clearly realizing she was out of comebacks. She tried to recover, flipping through her notes, searching for something, anything, to shift the conversation. Let's move on, she mumbled, forcing a smile as if nothing had just happened. But the damage was already done. The awkwardness was thick, and even the other panelists were struggling to hold back their reactions. And then, the real show began. Social media, within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Twitter, or X, exploded with reactions. Gutfeld just ended her career on live TV. One user tweeted, "This was like watching a pro fighter take on a toddler," another joked. Memes started popping up, featuring screenshots of the host mid-meltdown with captions like, "When facts ruin your whole argument," and "Me trying to win a debate with feelings." YouTube. Oh, that was even worse for her. The video got clipped, re-uploaded, and analyzed from every angle. People were breaking it down frame by frame, pointing out every eye roll, every sarcastic smirk, every moment where the liberal host completely lost control. Even conservative commentators jumped in, laughing at how easily Gutfeld dismantled her argument. Meanwhile, Gutfeld? He didn't even need to say anything else. He just sat back, sipped his coffee, and let the internet do the rest. Another debate, another win, another viral moment that left the other side scrambling. If you loved watching this epic takedown, don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another brutal debate moment. What do you think? Did Gutfeld go too far, or was this the reality check that needed to happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to see more hilarious and hard-hitting moments, share this video with your friends. Let's keep the conversation going. Here's a strong hook that will convince viewers to watch the entire video. Hook asterisk. Asterisk, you ever watch someone walk into an argument thinking they've got it all figured out, only to get completely destroyed in front of millions? That's exactly what happened on live TV when a liberal host thought she could take on Greg Gutfeld. She came in with the usual scripted talking points, but within minutes, Gutfeld shredded every single argument with pure facts and brutal humor. And the best part? The meltdown that followed was absolutely priceless. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Asterisk. This hook builds curiosity, sets up the conflict, and teases the dramatic moment, making viewers want to stick around. Want me to tweak it further?